Hello, welcome. My name is Yalong P. I'm with the Texas A&M Institute of Data Science, and I will introduce our speaker today, Dr. Karun Kaniyamattam. Dr. Karun Kaniyamattam is an assistant professor at the Department of Animal Science and Agri-Life Research with a research focus on livestock data analytics and artificial intelligence modeling. So he is also a member of quantitative animal performance area of excellence at the same department. He received his doctorate degree from the Karun Veterinarian and Animal Science University in India, and he's also another PhD degree from the University of Florida in 2016. Prior to joining Texas A&M University, he completed his postdoc training in Cornell, as well as Texas A&M University. So the floor is yours.
So before starting, I just want to extend my gratitude to Dr. Simon Foucault and Dr. Yalong for this wonderful opportunity. So I just have three main things to talk about today. I just want to talk about a little bit on the sustainability challenges that's faced by different livestock systems, mainly cattle and beef. Then I want to dwell a little bit into my past, current, as well as future mathematical modeling, decision modeling ventures, which I pursued for contributing towards livestock system sustainability. And then at the end, I want to talk about a little bit future, but how engineers from TAMIDS and researchers from Agri-Life can collaborate together. So before getting into detail, I just have a quiz for all of you. So who over here knows how many food animals are there in this world? Because you probably will be eating a lot of beef, chicken, pork, right? How many food animals are there in this globe? How many humans are there? 8 billion. So how many? Just there's actually an answer is hidden over here.
It's chicken, right?
Yeah, since you all are into maths, so this is what 92 billion animals are there. Because of course, chicken has a life cycle of 2 months, so there is at least 5 cycles every year. So at least every year there is 92 billion animals which is slaughtered. Of course, you can need to verify it, but then that's happening. So there is a food animal. How many food animals are there for every human? So there is like 96 divided by 8, 12 food animals per animal, right? And there is what? Annually, it's about 350 million tons of meat is consumed by humans all around the world. Yep. So just a little bit on my background. So how I kind of got interested in livestock systems management and mathematical modeling. Of course, as Yalong told, I am from Kerala, the southern state in Kerala. So that's southern state in India. So we call it as the California of India because we are on the west, yeah, southwest. And that's where I got my vet degree, and then I was interested in a little bit on economics. So I went and did a PhD in economic decision modeling of livestock systems, and then I was lucky to go to postdoctoral fellowship, one from Cornell and one from TAMU. So one was into studying disease of livestock systems, the other one is again coming back and more focusing on production. So artificial intelligence livestock systems model. And based on all this experience, so this is my philosophy which I want to follow for my life. So ideal food animal production systems has to care about multiple different dimensions. We have to increase productivity, we have to promote health, we have to be careful about economics because this is a business at the end of the day. So if it's not economically feasible, then farmers are not going to stay in this one. So economics is important. You have to take about animal welfare because we love animals and we care about them. So animal welfare is paramount importance. We have to worry about public health because all this 350 million tons of meat goes into humans, right? So we have to worry about public health, of course, environmental sustainability. So this is two mathematical modelers. This is a multi-objective optimization problem. To optimize all these things together. I'm going to explain that a little bit more in detail later on, but then just want to underline this fact. This is a multi-objective optimization problem. So again, a little bit of my past projects. So I started with economics. You will see a lot of economics over there. I am interested in economics. And then I started with sustainable intensification. So livestock systems has been using all this technology to maximize production at the bare minimum resources. So that's why sustainable intensification. I'm going to talk about that project. And I was into a lot of diseases, economics of infectious disease control. I was into a lot of antibiotic use in dairy system, in poultry system, beef systems, and then some kind of precision livestock farming. And then I be using different mathematical modeling techniques ranging from systems modeling, epidemiological modeling, agent-based modeling to dynamic programming. Since time is a constraint, I will only be focusing on sustainable intensification and antibiotic use in beef systems. Okay, so a few of our current and future projects. Of course, climate smart production is big on AgriLife's priority. So we'll be talking a little bit on climate smart beef production, what all things we need to do. I told that I'm interested in business economics. So there is some kind of business analysis project. Of course, we will just not dairy and beef, we'll also focusing on swine. So there is something on swine. And then some of the diseases. Number 2 disease in beef, ruminosidosis. Number 1 is PRD, and then there is a program in veterinary syndromic surveillance system. So I think all of them are, some aspect of decision making in for sustainable livestock system. But then since time is a constraint, I will only be talking about 2 of them. So now let me, just explain a little bit of my philosophy of livestock systems, decision making, and what are things decision makers need to take care when you delve into this livestock system research. So here, what I have is the global map of pigs, poultry, and cattle. As you can see, pigs are concentrated in China, US, and Brazil. That's over here. You see, so the intensity of color kind of shows the density of animals. Of course, the pattern is same for poultry as well. China, US, and Brazil. And then cattle a little different. India, Brazil, and China. Sorry, US. Okay, so I want to underline 2 facts from this figure. Whenever anyone is talking about livestock system, ask them 2 things. Which spatial scope are you talking about? Are you talking about the regional scope? Are you talking about Texas? Are you talking about US? Or are you talking about global scope when you talk about livestock systems? Another scope you should ask is temporal. Are you talking about 1960s? Are you talking about current case? Are you talking about future when you are making decisions on livestock systems? So there is two scopes, spatial and temporal. Let me come down to beef because this is cattle country. So beef will be a major part of our talk today. So how many beef animals are there in this world? I mean, not beef, just cattle. 1 billion. So there is a cow for every 8 humans. How many are we? We are 4 and 7. So we have a cow in this world for these 7 of us. So it's over here, so 1 billion animals. And then who is the leader? US is the leader. And how much meat does US produce? US produces 12.6 million metric tons of meat every year. And then a big chunk of that is exported to all other parts of the world, which is 3 billion pounds annually. So this is the global distribution of world beef. Of course, let's zoom in and see what happens in US. So what you see over on the right is the distribution of every single dot is 10,000 cattle. See? And then the color intensity kind of shows the million acres of rangeland that is unsuitable for cultivation, and it's only suitable for cattle ranching. So our ancestors found this, and then they spread cattle all across the United States. So that's what's happening. So we live together with cattle. So one point to highlight, there is 770 million acres, right? Yeah, acres of rangeland that is unsuitable for cultivation. You can only raise cattle out there if you have to make some utility of that resource. Little bit more into cattle. So is it just meat production? No. Cattle is used for the bones, hair, skin, fat, manure, internal organs, blood, and all are used in like hundreds of different products. There are a lot of utilities. Then let's see. So that is what you get from cattle. So what is actually cattle eating? Cattle is eating 86% of the cattle feed is actually inedible to humans. There is a lot of waste recycling going on, and only 13% is where cattle competes with humans. Rest of it, it's nutrient upcycling. So if there is no cattle, probably a lot of energy forage will go to waste. So there is no efficient engine which can upcycle grass, which I know of. Cattle. Then one more argument for pro as well as against cattle. So how much is so on the right side, right? Yeah, on the right, you will see the million metric tons of protein that is produced from food animals for each of the major geographical areas, as well as on the left, you will see the million metric tons of emissions, carbon dioxide equivalent coming from each of these geographical areas. So let's just take North America. So that's what 10.1 million metric tons of protein is produced every year. And 50% comes from beef and cattle milk protein. So about 5 million metric tons. And what is that's a pro for cattle as well as corn. So this is the footprint. Footprint is about 600 million metric tons. And another message I want to put across from this graph, which is coming from Dean, which is from FAO, is that depending on if you compare between the protein as well as emissions, different geographies have different levels of efficiencies. So when you make decisions for adjusting or engineering production while mitigating emissions, the rules are different, the models are different, because you need to account for different trees, different geographical conditions, different climate. But then the problem, there will be a lot of similarities as well as dissimilarities when you make decisions. Okay. So let's zoom in a little bit more. So if you just look at the beef cattle's emissions for United States, that's what we are trying to show here. This is from Louis Tedeschi. So what you have over here is the total US emissions for all the economic sectors. So that I think comes to about 6,000 million metric tons. Out of that, I think agriculture is just below 10%. And then within agriculture, the livestock is like 40%. And then within livestock, beef is 50%. So if you do the math, it comes to about 2.17% of the total emissions from US or all the economic sectors in US. At least that's what Dr. Tedeschi is trying to show in this graph. So, but then we are not making the case that 2.17% is very small and we should not do anything. Even if it's only 2%, we need to do all the strategies in such a way that it can go down to, let's say, 1%. So reduce emissions from feed sector. Before going to strategies, let me talk a little bit more on methane in the carbon cycle. So one single point I want to highlight from this graph is methane is a flow gas, because this has been going on from cattle production for 10,000 years. So cattle has been around for like 10,000 years. I'm talking about domesticated cattle. So what's happening is that cattle eat grass, it goes in the rumen, and then some magic happens. Methane production happens. Methane goes into the atmosphere. There is like a 12-year lag period. After 12-year lag period, methane is broken down into carbon dioxide and water. The carbon dioxide water, which carbon dioxide goes into gas, and this cycle just goes on and on. It has been going on for 10,000 years. So whenever we kind of talk about policies, I think people kind of pool the methane from cattle as the carbon dioxide equivalent that's coming from the oil industry or some other energy sector. And then they kind of consider that methane is a stock gas, but actually methane is a flow gas. So whatever happens in year one will be disintegrated and it will go into the cycle of food production after 12 years. So whatever happens in 2024 will be mitigated in 2026. So that is why I was talking about the temporal scope. When we are making decisions for the emissions of cattle, we have to think about temporal scope of methane. Okay, so I promise that I will talk about a lot of sustainability challenges. So when you are into food production, you have to take care of emissions. So this is air. You have to take care of fossil energy that's used for any process, and then you have to take care of water, and then you have to take care of land. So that is reactive nitrogen. So this is from a life cycle analysis study from Dr. Alan Rhodes. So if you look at over here, so what they have is 3 different phases of beef production, top of operations, stock and finish, and where exactly the emissions are coming from. That's what is shown. So the point over here is that there is quantification for every single aspect of sustainability, if I may call it, which is environmental sustainability. They have numbers for air, water, as well as land stewardship. And then what we have over here is, this is how the stock gas works. So you unearth carbon from fossil fuels. Fossil fuel is unearthing carbon from underneath, and then it goes. But then over here, there is slightly different. There is a lot of cycles happening. So difference between stock gas as well as flow gas. Little bit more general knowledge over here. So this is about how much water is being used. So for typical production, there is 3 different types of water you can use in case of cattle. So there is natural rain-based water, so that is clean water. There is pure blue water, which is coming from lakes, and then there is wastewater. So typically for about every 100 liters of water that's used for beef, only 6% is blue as well as gray. Rest of all the water is from rainwater. So that's a recycled water. A few more general knowledge. So this is 95% of the total water. So most of this water is going for irrigation, and there is a cycle involved in there as well. Okay, and then over here, so we already talked about it. 93% is forage, which humans cannot use, and 7% is corn. And out of this 7% corn, the total corn that's grown, only 8% goes for feed production. Sorry, for cattle. Most of it's for humans. Now there is a lot of bombardment of numbers, so I just want to take a 10-second break. So I'm just talking about different aspects of production that goes into our models. Okay, so when we think about making sustainable models, so there is multiple different dimensions, right? But the major ones are social, economic, and environmental. So I just pulled out together a little bit social goals, a little bit of economic goals, a little bit of environmental goals. So we need to increase animal welfare. There can be different aspects of Asia and Africa. Livestock system is a big chunk of women empowerment and poverty alleviation. So economic goals, you have to increase animal health, you have to reduce food wastage, and then increase biodiversity, because it's not just animal, you just need to care about environment as well. And usually people use this kind of models called social business systems models. And then if you don't take anything away from this slide, this is what I want to highlight. So this is my perspective on sustainable livestock system decision making. So these livestock systems are complex adaptive systems with multiple spatial and temporal dimensions, which I already talked about. And decision making for sustainability requires systems thinking and multi-criteria optimization. Then we use a lot of techniques that you use in TAMIDS. A lot of complex systems stresses. So I told that livestock systems are complex systems, so we need mathematical modeling to make data-backed decisions. And I see this like as a buffet. This is a buffet, and you can taste any dish that's available. So I think I had tasted a little bit of agent-based modeling. We are going to talk a little bit on that. And then we will talk a little bit on network modeling that we can do, or which I have done in my past life. AI. I don't think I have. There is some kind of system dynamics going on. Whenever you talk about epidemiology, you will have a lot of population dynamics. So these are the kind of techniques that we have in animal systems modeling. And then I think it's applicable in multiple domains as well, which you may be doing on a daily basis. And then it's a little bit on the agri systems, ag systems models. It's nothing new. There's a long history of 80 years now. At least I don't know what happened before 1950s. There may be cool stuff before that as well, but then I just want to start my history from 1950. So in 1960s, they started individual animal, this is nutritional models. So that is individual animal models. They started in UK. And then then people kind of say, oh, it's not just individual animal, you need to model herds. It's actually a group of animals. So this is the school I was trained in, livestock systems model. I think that came from Netherlands or somewhere in Europe. And then people progress, as time progressed, people said, oh, no, we need to make decisions at national or global scales. Because the problem is national, global, and then later on, kind of say, oh, there are all this sustainable agriculture, animal agriculture movements. So that's the history, 1990s again. So that's what, 40 years now, 30 years old. And then now we have very global models. I don't want to go into those kind of things. But at least only one point I have to highlight over here is that most of these current models are integrated soil, plant, animal, environmental models. So they takes all these things together. And then what is actually being controlled in these models? If you ask me, like, give me one objective answer, one word objective answer, it is actually a multi-criteria index. I told you that mathematical models for livestock systems is a multi-domain, multi-objective optimization model, right? So what people have been doing is you select a selection index, you put in multiple different rates of interest in that index, and you try to optimize that. So I just pulled two indexes, one from NRCS, which is USDA, and this is from A. This is an index that they used to rank countries based on different environmentally important criteria. So they look at climate change, what all policies are there for climate change, how are they protecting biodiversity, ecosystem services. And you give weightage, and then you can rank countries based on that. So similar USDA and RCS is doing this for wildfire, water quality, erosion, all those kind of things. And you can rank farmers based on that index. But then it is nothing new to animal systems. We have been doing that kind of selection index based livestock system decision making for 50 years. And then even environment is already embedded into those kind of things right now. So what the point is, adaptable multi-criteria indices exist for sustainable livestock systems, and you just have to optimize, you just have to maximize that index through all this decision making. Okay, so now let me get into this. I think the first part of my talk is over. So it's all about sustainability and what all kind of things we do. Now let me talk a little bit of how we actually implemented that in the past. So I told about sustainable intensification. I'm shifting a little bit gear from beef into dairy. So what I have used is a whole herd systems modeling over here. But a little introduction about the dairy industry, global dairy industry. So there is 274 million dairy animals in this world. So that's what 27% of cattle is dairy. And then together, so this is the milk consumption in Europe, America, Australia. So it's about 275 kilogram per person per year. So almost a liter a day. That's what over here people drink. I mean, it's not just direct fluid milk through cheese to butter. So, and then right now, a global need is 80 million tons. But then, of course, you know that population is going to increase to 10 billion in 2015. So they have calculated it to be the need will be 1,400 million tons. Is it possible? Yes. If you look into history, people have increased milk production worldwide by 53% as a result of management and genetics in the past 30 years. So 71% increase is not that big deal. People will increase. And even if you just take the case of Asia, there's an increase of about 241% in the past 30 years, right? And then, so again, a little bit more numbers. What needs to be done to meet the global milk needs in 10 years? You just have to increase average cow production, which is currently at 2,500 kilos to 4,500 kilos. So look at this. This is super performer. So it's possible. This is US milk production, average cow, 10,000 liters a year. I think now it's like 12,000. So again, the slide is a little older. So it's just 87% increase. This is a different study. You get the gist, right? Just have to increase the milk production. And then on right, what I have is like the distribution of exports, the countries which export, Europe, US, and Australia. Why? Because they have a lot of land area, they have much better genetics, they have much better modernized farms. I think these countries still will be exporting a big chunk of milk in the coming decades because of all the conducive factors. And then how can you actually meet that 87%? So genomic selection for yield, health, traits, combining genomics and reproductive techniques will be a key driver on profitability. So this is an old slide, 5 years, 6 years old, but at least that's what problem that was thrown at me when I started my PhD. So I was told, oh yeah, we have a lot of technology available. Why don't you combine genomic selection and in vitro fertilization and develop a dairy herd agent-based model, and then try to predict the future genetic, phenotypic, and economic performance as a typical Holstein dairy herd. And then I told you about indices selection index. So this is a USDA-based selection index. It's called lifetime net merit. It has like all the important production, reproduction, health traits, and there is economic weight to that. And if you just keep on increasing that net merit generation and generation after generation, you are going to increase all the performance rate as well as finance. That is the hypothesis. And then so what I build is a dynamic stochastic model, and it is the whole herd systems model. It has 4 main components. We need to care about genetics, we need to care about production, reproduction, and culling. And of course, year over year there is cycles. Little bit more detail, more graphical. So what happens is that in the model, every single animal is an agent. So it starts from embryo. Every embryo is typically an agent. And as time progresses, you just go to the biological dynamics of each individual animal, starting from calves to third and higher lactation cows. And then you kind of simulate all this process. So there is different survival rates, there is different growth rates, pregnancy rates, cull rates, and then all the way up to third lactation cow. You simulate the biological process of cows, and then you kind of simulate a little bit of herd management strategies. So you can select the best calves from here, genomic selection based on genetics, based on genomics. You combine with the best breeding technology available. You try to accelerate your genetic progress. Of course, you have to get rid of some cows which are old. In this process, you simulate it for 15 years in the future and see what happens. So this is the net merit I was talking about. So this is money. genetics of money. That's the simplest word. And this is a bull. Bull genetics progress much better than this is all the cows in your herd. And then these are different strategies. You can go from 0% embryo transfer all the way up to 100% embryo transfer. And then what happens 15 years in the future? If you just keep on propagating the best genetics, you make progress in all the traits together and you make more money. That's the simplest layman explanation of what's happening over here. Of course, this is genetics and this is phenotype because all this technology costs money. So you do 100%, you will lose a lot of money. So this is per cow per year. If you think about if you lose $600 per cow per year, and you have 100,000 cows in your herd, it's like what, $6 million or something. So you need to find the best strategy, which is like this combination of embryo transfer and AI you can do in your herd, which I kind of have in my dissertation, but the interest of time, I'm not going there. But at least, why did I talk about this? Because I learned from Dr. Tao that there is a digital twin lab, and digital twin is all about representation model, a simulation model, and a cyber physical system. So I think this is like a graphic user interface, and this is simulation model is what I just showed you. So if you are interested in diary digital twin, the simulation model is already available. Okay, and then I think this cyber physical is like the precision-less technology that we are going to talk about. It is coming. Okay. So I talked about economic sustainability. Now I'm going towards epidemiological sustainability. So this is one big chunk of problem that livestock system decision makers has to face. So that is antibacterial resistance. Everybody knows about antibacterial resistance, right? No? So it's just, superbugs. If you have superbugs, you probably will end up dying because antibiotics will not work against that superbug. That's the simplest I can explain. But then why is this important for food animal agriculture? Because 80% of the total antibiotics that is used in US goes into food animal production. That's the same for all across the world. Because I told you there is 8 times more animals than humans in this globe, right? There is 96 billion animals. So the minute you use antibiotics, you increase the risk of antibiotic resistance because it's a natural resource and bacteria is always in competition with these antibiotics. So there is risk of antibiotics. What you will do? Oh, what will happen in future? Again, we need more food and more population. So this increase is only going to increase by 68%, 67% by 2030, which is 6 years from now, right? Which I'm pretty sure that this has happened. Some part of this has already happened. I saw like the recent papers. So antibiotics has increased. So what will farmers do? They need economically justifiable antibiotic use reduction strategies to aid the global action plan for tackling antibiotic resistance. So this global action plan is made by FAO, OIE, and WHO. So there is already action plan. So what they need is, they just have to reduce it, but it has to be economically justified. And if you don't do it properly, this is anyway going to happen. There will be some million deaths. Hopefully, it's not 10 million every year, and then it's 100 trillion cost. And then I didn't make up these numbers. This is antimicrobials working groups, which is people from all these places. So, what I did, again, this is my past project. So we were looking at the economic cost of antibiotic use resistance in the US integrated feed supply chain, a systems approach, and the technique I have used is linear programming optimization. So what I have over here is like the entire beef chain. We talked about this one. We have cow-calf operations, then there is stockers, backgrounders, and then there is feedlots. So this is the production life cycle that's happening. So what objective is to investigate the economic implication of differential movement of cattle through the US beef supply chain under the use and non-use of various antibiotic health management strategies. And then why am I worried about it? I guess it told that the cattle is a big industry. all across the globe. So it brings in about $106 billion every year to US agriculture receipts, and it's also a big user of antibiotics. It uses like 2,500 tons of antibiotics. So that's across about 42% of antibiotics goes for cattle production. And of course, if there is disease, you have to use it. That is animal welfare concern. And then what I have done is constructed a network model. So what you see over here is the beef production in US, starting from cow-calf operations to different types of cow-calf operations. There is stockers, so this is intermediate, this is backgrounder, this is different types of feedlots. Indirect, direct feedlots which use different types of antibiotics, and then it costs some money and there is a efficiency. So you apply a linear programming, and then you can kind of find out how much money it costs to produce antibiotics. So we said that in the best case, when you don't use antibiotics, which is not possible, only costs 367 million additional cost. It is only less than 1% of the total cost including beef production. So that's 42 billion. But the point is that there is economic case. Yeah, people need not worry about economics when you make policies when it comes to reducing antibiotic or using better antibiotic stewardship practices. I know that I kind of pulled a lot of information, but then the gist of it is there is mathematical modeling that's used for decision making when it comes to second sustainability challenge, which is antibiotic resistance. Okay, so that was passed into the future. So when it comes to antibiotics, BRD is the #1 disease of importance for feedlot cattle. So can we work together with TAMIDS to use precision livestock technology and artificial intelligence plus mechanistic modeling to reduce the prevalence of BRD? Bit of BRD. BRD is actually a caused by shipping or due to stress in cattle. So as you know, cattle will be subjected to different climatic conditions, cold weather, dust, and they will be hauled from one place, from Florida to all the way up to Washington. They will pull together, and then you haul them on a truck. You send them, and then you will have lower immune system of this cattle, and the common cells within the respiration will flare up, and that's how BRD strikes. And then these are the symptoms of BRD. There will be cough, so it's like a human pneumonia, we can call it. And then typically only 30% of the cattle will show clinical signs, but then there is a intermediate phase called 40% of clinical animals. And can you detect it early so that you can reduce antibiotic use for BRD, and can you reduce the economic loss due to BRD, and can you reduce mortality using technology? So that is something we are interested in. Can we use precision livestock technology for bovine respiratory disease prediction? And typically what happens is that there is a pen rider, and then usually he visually appraises animal, he runs around, and then he scores cattle and you identify the cattle, just like a doctor. So, but then this cannot happen 24/7. And of course you need a lot of employees. It's not that easy. And then what they are doing is they predict a DART score. There's a depression, appetite, respiration temperature score. And they will, the #4 score is actually a very risky animal. So they isolate these animals, but then can we put different technology, infrared thermography, can you put computer vision, and then can you come up with a AI-based score, that score, and if you can do that, you can predict disease, detect BRD earlier, intervene earlier, reduce economic loss, and reduce antibiotic use risk. So I pose that question to Dr. Longfi. Now I shift gear, going to the another aspect of sustainability, which is environmental sustainability. So this is, can you reduce methane emissions? So we already have some grant going on. So this is from USD and RCS, but they are kind of proposing is that, okay, let's put all the climate smart activities that's possible for animals, and let's reduce the methane of cow-calf operations. Not cow-calf operation, the entire food value chain, beef value chain. I already talked about our contention is this: climate neutrality is feasible for US cattle systems through climate smart activities. We talked about this carbon cycle earlier on. 12-year disintegration, so we had to be worried about, we had to take that into account. Then this is a picture which shows that at the global scale, what's the proportion of US beef emissions. Even though it's less than 1%, we still have to use strategies in such a way that you can go to climate neutrality. And then all these technologies are available. Field additives, cover crops, enhanced root crops, and manure management. And then from your clear center, that I already looked at the emissions. Right now it's about 300-ish million metric tons. So if you combine a lot of strategies, they're predicting that by 2045 we can be climate neutral or even climate negative, and you can harness carbon markets. So the investigation is on. And then let's say there is a lot of options. So what we propose is that scale up a lot of options like this: managed grazing, silver pastures, integrating livestock production into forest. Then manure management, of course, using a lot of technology to monitor, measure, validate, and report the emissions. So this is another technology using laser beams. It's called the dual TCS or some spectroscopy, and emissions is there. Using spectroscopy for quantifying emissions. And then what happens? So where did I get this kind of things? So there was a group of, I don't know how many, more than 1,000 scientists. So what they did is like they looked at all the solutions that's possible to mitigate or sequester like 20 years of global emissions. So global emissions is 50 gigatons. Then 20 into 50 is 1,000 gigatons. So if you do all these kind of technologies together, you can sequester 20 years of global emissions, so that you can avoid that 1.5 degree increase in temperature. So, and then they are saying that if for making, scaling all this technology together, it costs you $30 trillion. And then, if you do it, your eventual savings is going to be $75 trillion. So it's not just agriculture, there is wind turbines, refrigeration, a lot of things. So what I did is I just pulled together things that can be done for livestock systems. So they're saying that, okay, if you do silver pasture, generative agriculture, and managed grazing all across the globe, it costs you 400 billion investment, but you get back about $5 trillion. And then, of course, we can do the math, and how much is possible for Texas can be calculated. I'm just saying that there are a lot of options exist, and climate neutrality is definitely a thing that is worth investigation, which kind of a lot of people are behind that. And then climate neutrality also requires a lot of decision models. You just need to have maths into the equation to solve this. We need decision models. So what we have over here is that this is a big chunk of production, beef, southeast. And then what you have is there is interaction between all the grass, soil, and animals. So how can you quantify or at least capture this interaction? Is because use the models. You can develop agent-based models. Agents can be grass, soil, animals, so farmer inside your production system, and you can actually simulate and quantify the process of beef production, and then come up with strategies which can tilt you or push you towards climate neutrality. Okay, so coming to the last part of my talk, how much time do I have? 15 minutes more? Okay. Yeah, so what should TAMIDS and AgriLife do? That's what I was trying to think about that. So of course, what if we want to contribute towards sustainable animal production? There should be, we should use AI, there should be models, and then AI-driven models should be fed with data ecosystems. Of course, I just want to touch a little bit introduction of what is precision livestock technology, what is the hardware, what's the software involved. So until now, I was talking about a lot of decision models, which is software. Then there's a ton of precision livestock technology that's available in the market, which could be used to track every single biological parameter with respect to an animal. And then there's all these devices available, and there is algorithms which can predict data, and then that should go into decision making of the farmer. This is the precision livestock farming in one picture. And then what over here, so it's not just animals, right? You just need to look at the air quality, talk about water quality, you need to sense animal health. This is feed monitoring. So this is what you are doing with igloo, right? Yes, computer vision based feed monitoring. So this is just a system of Internet of Things and with software. So what can you measure? You can measure everything from the tail to the muscle of an animal. Everything is measurable and technology is available. If you can explain, if I can explain the need in one picture, this is that picture. Have a lot of sensors, have algorithms, you integrate everything together and you make decisions which are contributing to all those dimensions. So that is why I was saying this is a multi-objective optimization problem. And then all the precision technology that's available in market, few of them which are worth mentioning. And is that all? No, there is a lot of computer vision based technology for a lot of things that I was talking about. You could predict disease, you could predict feed intake, you could predict methane emissions, and this is the market space, rest of tech landscape. So there's ton and ton of companies all the way from fertility, disease detection, nutrition, automation, operations management, all the way to livestock trading. And this is
How many
yes.
of them are still alive today?
What's that?
How many of them are still on the market today?
Oh, actually, a lot. Most of them are alive. Today, actually, there is a what's the advanced ag tech happening in San Francisco, and Igloo is over there.
Okay.
So you can ask him how many of them are alive.
So I thought it's like 2018, right?
Yeah, this is 2018, and they will update it every. I didn't. You could, if you Google and you will get it like 2022 is available. It will look similar because I've been looking at this for like years now. Companies are there. When if you wanna prove, go to beef cattle short course. Most of them, like many of them, will come over there. So all these companies are available. What should we do? So this is from some other groups. So what they are kind of doing is, let's look at the whole beef value chain. Can you capture all the data with in the value chain and make decisions? Like that's a one-liner. So this is the production. So we talked about cow calves, doctors, feedlots. Then of course processing, and then all the supermarket, HEBs, crawlers, everywhere, right? So this is how the money flows within the supply chain. So people have been thinking of, can we make it open source? Can we use data integrity, those kind of things? So this is what blockchain. Can you use blockchain to capture all those data? There are people who think on those lines. Is it possible? I don't know. But should we try? Maybe yes. To achieve most of the sustainability. Yes.
We talk with anyone doing blockchain here on campus. There is one big team from the business school.
Oh, then yeah. No, I'm not.
It's a lot of activity recently.
Okay, yeah, maybe we should. But then, yeah, I mean, like blockchain can definitely help track all those data and maybe achieve a lot of sustainability things. But the thing is that like most of the beef production is very disintegrated and people don't trust each other. And so they may not be willing to share data, but then there is also a lot of integrated beef chains as well as direct chains and hop chains who may be using it already. So there is all sorts of people, and I don't want to get into ethics or politics, the science. So is it just in private space? No, it's available in public space as well. People are already doing it. So this is two of them. I just put together two of them, Southwest Beef Coordinated Agriculture Project on the beef side and one on the direct side. So what they start with the conducive genetics, they select the best genetics and they put a lot of these kind of technologies and track all the process and look at alternative supply chains, which can meet a lot of sustainability goals. So one project, dairy brain is almost same. You collect data from different farms in Wisconsin, pull it together, and then you have a servers, multiple servers, transform now, that is transformed, normalized, and there is analytical services and all the decision models that we talk about are using this. Then what should, like this is like the big lofty goal that we could do at Texas A&M and with the help of TAMIDS. What we need is, we need to increase efficiency. Of course, we talked about sustainable intensification, right? Ensure resiliency, we need to prevent disease, we need to ensure sustainability, so that's mitigate greenhouse gas footprint of cattle production. So how can we do it? We already talked about models, mathematical modeling based decision models, but we need data pipelines and data ecosystems. And who can do it? Texas Institute of Data Science. And then if you do it properly, you can improve efficiency, you can reduce disease, you reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So it's possible. And then is this the priority of AgriLife? Of course, AgriLife it's a big priority of AgriLife. So we need to harness sensors and IoTs, which I talked about, to monitor and improve the health and welfare. So that's consistent with AgriLife priority to serve as an unbiased, accurate, and reliable science-based source of information. Then continuous automated real-time monitoring and control of animals through computer vision and machine learning. Was I think we have already started doing it. That's also within this AgriLife priority. Increase engagement with innovations and initiatives, and deploy AI and MI decision support tools to assist the entire beef value chain. So why should we do it? I already made the case for this, but this is kind of a repeat slide. This is a big cattle, milk, broiler. This is together about 16 billion tons, not billion tons, $1 billion. $16 billion, and then of course a lot of social sustainability. 1 in 7 working Texans work in animal agriculture, some space of animal agriculture. And then why should we do it? This is from a recent report we submitted to AgriLife Research. Dr. Tao is a co-author on that one. What we are saying is that you can increase the return. Right now it's like 16 billion. You put AI, we can reduce a lot of this disease, reduce the feed loss, harness carbon markets, and there is already economic arguments again towards that. And of course, I just want to acknowledge my previous lab mates from UF, Cornell, Texas, and my current lab, 2 of them are over here already. Then last slide. So if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, make a systems approach towards solving this problem. And three things that I talked about. If you don't take anything away from the top, I talked about emissions and antibiotic use. This is a challenge we have. How do you solve it? We need technology-backed solutions. So we have this precision models, precision tech, integrated ecosystem, which we don't have. We can increase productivity, sustainability, and be happy. Thanks for the patience. That's all.